72 of the world's finest players took to the felt, but now only 12 remain. Tonight, the semi-finals begin, and they're all ready to battle it out for a place at the final table and a piece of that $500,000 prize pool. This is the partypoker.net World Open 3. Reaching the semi-finals is one step closer to the $200,000. But in order to make that move, our players must be one of the last three standing. It really is a tactical game they'll have to play, as if they make the last three, the chip stacks will count, and they'll take them through to the final table. This is psychological warfare at its best. So it's over to Jessie May and Roland Wolfe, who are busy picking the bones out of this one.
The winds of change are hitting this tournament. Only 3 go through, and Roland, it's completely different strategies, isn't it?
Well, to me, Jesse, this is really the start of the final. This is where you build your work up to end up going away with that huge prize at the end of things. It's getting to the final and getting to the final with chips. There's a lot of strategy out there today.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked before about how people have to play a certain way when there's only one winner, but obviously 3 winners go through. Which of the players at this semi-final table do you think are most willing to go for it?
I think someone like Woodley, who's been here before, and he knows the structure, and Raj Modha as well, have also had great success at this level. I think those two in particular will not be scared. But as I've seen Jimmy White, you know, he doesn't really seem to mind doing anything in the game, and that's a great asset that he has.
Gotta love the whirlwind, as long as the people's champion is in, right? But of course, Frazer as well in there, and he's won 2 of these tournaments back to back.
He's another one with a great record in these tournaments, and getting more and more experience by the day. You can't count him out, and again, he's someone who's likely to go for it as well, so it could be really explosive in there. And you could look at one of the other 2 players to come in from the side while these 4 lock corners.
Plenty of different paths to the final. Let's hear how they got here.
It was a very tough heat. I mean, I didn't really want to mess around early on, unless there was anything dead there that, you know, that was for the taking anyway. I sort of fancied that Theo, that's the guy I wound up heads up with, I sort of fancied he'd be in the last 3 for sure. And that was how it panned out. And, you know, it was even, the heads up was a tough match. We both went in with the same chips. I'm really pleased to win it, because obviously you don't get anything for second.
Well, last day it was a bit of a struggle. I went down short stack, and I short stacked for the majority of the game. I ended up making a few good moves, picking up a few nice hands, and come back and won it, so it was good.
I had a lot of chips, and then I didn't have any chips, and then I had a lot of chips, so it was up and down, really good game, I think. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So I'm just going to bide my time and see how everybody's playing, and take it from there, really.
Only 3 qualifiers, so it's a different type of strategy. So basically there will not be too many bluffs, I think, today. I've been playing well, I've been very lucky the last time I played, so hopefully I get some more luck.
My heat was a real struggle. It seemed to take forever, and it was a long game, and I got lucky at the right time, so that's why I'm here today. This one's a little bit different, where just 3 of you get through and you take your chips through to the next round, so not sure how it's going to go. Should be interesting.
You know, I haven't come out with any set plan, you know, just see how people are playing. If they're playing tight, I'll play loose. If a lot of them are loose, I'll tighten up and then pick my spots, you know, go from there. I'm the best looking one at the table, so let's just get it done.
Optimism, a key component in winning poker. And Woodley's got that in spades. Blinds, of course, starting at 1 and 2,000. There's 600,000 in chips on this table, 100,000 per player. But you don't need them all. Yellow chips are worth 1,000, blues are 2, reds 5K apiece. Of course, the players take the chips to the final that they have when we reach 3 ways. You know, Roland, I know you've been to the semi-final stages and progressed from one of these tournaments before. And for me, you have a much different attitude when you're in these semi-finals about how you view the race, don't you? Because obviously, getting knocked out is horrible here. We're going to see people maybe backing away from committing their chips here.
It's a big jump up from the prize money you get for winning your first heat to winning the semi-final. And to progress into the final, you give yourself a shot at real money. But you know, these tournaments, the money's are very top heavy, and you've got to try to win. And the start of winning is here. This is where you start to win the final. It's where you really get involved and you can build your stack for the final. This is, this is the final here for me. It's just a two-table final.
No nerves for Jimmy White the first hand. The 2-9s, raise and take it.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit worried. Not about you, Nick, about your German.
It's nice to get the first pot under your belt.
It always is.
You won't have them that long.
Tell you what, I remember that Poker Million big tournament that Jimmy White won. He was the least experienced poker player, they said, at the final table, but he was definitely the coolest man on the inside. Although these guys all look like pretty cagey customers. Rudling here.
Pass. Pass.
Not showing any sign of nerves.
Call.
And
For a minute.
No raise.
two steady players in this pot, Johnson and Modha. Most of these guys won't know much about each other.
No, these are not people you will have seen that many times before, with the exception of obviously
Check.
they'll know Jimmy White as a snooker player,
Check.
and they'll probably have seen Ian Frazer's exploits on the television. But I don't think Dave Johnson and Raj Modha know that much about each other.
Check.
Well, check, check, check. And Raj
2,000.
says, I ain't checking
Pass.
twice. And I know it's not a big pot, Roland, but just an indication there that Raj slightly more aggressive and accumulating, and Johnson just a passive instinct, perhaps.
Yes, I think that's correct, Jesse. Johnson was happy to give the pot up, and Modha saw some weakness in his opponent and decided to take it down. Ian Frazer came for a very tough heat in his heat.
He did. He had to
You had 3 Weetabix this morning.
survive the
Hey, love.
Have you had 3
writhings of
Yeah.
Tyson Theo Dalton.
Pass. Pass.
And I don't remember who got knocked out in that heat first.
Raise. To 5,000 total. Pass.
Old age, Jesse.
Pass.
Memories.
Pass.
Frazer picking up that pot. And advertising.
Messing around over here, boys.
What do you think?
thought you was gonna
What's
show
going
a
to
good
set
hand,
the game alight? Just someone getting perhaps getting cracked open a little bit and then feeling like they have to move to stay in? Or do you think it could be very cagey?
No limit hold'em, the action creates itself. There will be a hand that comes up and the chips will go into the middle. It's as simple as that. And then once someone gets chips in this thing, then with the format, with 3 going through, they're going to start dictating the action if they're playing properly.
Pass.
Yeah, it's funny.
Pass.
When they started this format with 3 going through,
Raise
you always
to
said, well,
6,000
it's
total.
built for someone to take 500,000 chips to the final table. But we've yet to see it. But sooner or later
Pass.
it's going to happen, isn't it?
I mean,
Pass.
I was looking like very much last TV tournament. I was
You were.
having like
Pass.
530,000. I ended up with about 450. But
Still you ran into Kevin O'Connell.
yes, I mean, I would. My strategy would be to come.
Geez, that's right. You had 530, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd really would come firing out here. That is the strategy for today. That's the way it should be. I mean, once you get the chips, you can use it. It's like a tournament,
Right.
like a multi-table tournament. Go early, get the chip lead, and then bully. That's what I would do. But I don't know if any of these players are with that mindset. I think that at least a couple of them, will be able to bully once they get the chips. But will they be able to create their own
Raise
opportunities to get
8,000
chips?
total.
Yeah, we've seen pretty much proper play so far. The best hand has won basically every pot.
Pass.
And this trend continues.
Pass.
You can just feel the atmosphere maybe a little tenser.
Show big blind there, Ian.
Did you hear that?
He was talking about the strategy being different. I mean, this is the thing with these poker tournaments, Roland, that prize pools are by nature
Pass.
top heavy. And, I think the players guaranteed about 10,000 now, but that 200,000 for first, certainly worth, over the long run, going for.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
you have to look at the
Pass.
players on board and their own personal wealth. I mean, without wanting to get into too much depth on the TV, a couple of the guys, very wealthy, should be using the correct strategy, which is attack in
Raise
this
to
stage.
8,000
If
total.
you're looking at climbing the leaderboard, But that's one thing. But you know, someone like Ian Frazer, who's the third richest man in Europe, then he should play the correct strategy.
He was the third richest man here before he started playing poker. Now I think he's second. He's won about $1 million.
But you know, if you look at Ram Vaswani, he'll be here next week for the semi-final, and he won't care about the money. And his sort of game will be very, very tough to beat in the next semi-final.
There was a limp from Raj Modha and a raise on the button from Rudling. Good enough. And I'll tell you, Rudling's had a shave. He's had a haircut. He's put on a new shirt. He's come with an image of a man who looks like he wants to win, doesn't he?
Yeah. Of the remaining 12, you think Ram's the favourite now?
Well, I would make Ram. I think Ram feels like I would make Ram the favourite. I'd certainly make Ram the favourite.
Yeah, his semi-final next week will be eagerly awaited, and whoever does go through today will know they're up against a fight. Whoever goes through, but these 6 are all capable players that we've seen.
When the sponsors opened up the betting market when the final 12 were announced, I think Ram did take most of the money.
5,000 total.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, pre-tournament favourites can fall by the wayside.
Pass.
Yeah, Roland, you were installed as the 20-to-1 favourite. And don't know. They were shrewd judges.
Yeah, it's too early. You want those sort of cards late doors, don't you? As I'm not going to be here then, I thought I'd get them out of the way now.
Well, we've seen 7 hands so far, Roland, and pretty much it's basically been like the cards have played themselves.
And if he didn't, I'll bollock him.
The red corner, ace-queen for Frazer. They really are going to think that he's got the foot on the accelerator. I mean, really, in actual fact, he doesn't.
Don't like this too much.
I mean, he'd have had an image where people would expect this from him. Total. Oh no! And Johnson could make a huge dive here.
Call.
Oh, he's just called it.
Pass.
Ace Jack's a real problem hand, isn't it?
It is. Pass. Luckily, the Jimmy has passed an ace too, so just the ace is really gonna break David Johnson. There's only one left.
Johnson is going to have to start worrying about his stack.
As long as that flop doesn't have the ace of spades, you've got to think he'll be able to get away from it.
Top pair for Frazer. No clubs in either hand.
Check.
What does that check mean?
Check.
That Ian doesn't want to get the pot too big before he sees the turn card?
I think that could well be part of it, but at the moment he's got to be thinking he does have the best hand.
Or is he trapping?
6,000.
David Johnson's got a real problem in that Ian Frazer is tough to have on your left. Roland, you might have some experience with that. What was your philosophy? Of course, you were in the same sort of situation.
Well, actually, Ian Frazer was
on my right. I'm sorry.
It was on my left, but it's on his right.
Ace queen.
Yeah, but besides that.
Something like that.
It's old age, Jesse.
I'm telling you. God almighty.
The late nights.
Nearly 50. 141,000.
Okay, you're 2 there.
The queen.
Played nearly a whole level, and in some
queen 9 or 8 was
remarks, you'd only say the only wrinkle we've seen, Roland, is Ian Woodley getting out of line. But the table image has been strong. Ian Frazer's created a strong one, hasn't he?
Ian Frazer's had all the hands. I mean, it's a nice game when you get good cards.
Don't start raising every time someone limps into my...
I wouldn't say that Ian played particularly better than anyone else, but he just had the better cards so far.
Are you getting the feeling that David Johnson is bleeding a little bit here?
He's done it 3 times.
Cool.
He shouldn't be panicking yet, but I don't think if he had 100,000 he'd be putting a chip in the pot with 9-10.
No raise.
They've all got similar type of cards. A medium flop could spell action if it's without paint.
It's not. Although there is a flush draw out there for Frazer and middle pair for David Johnson.
Check.
Yep.
Check.
And
5,000.
say in anybody else's hands,
Pass. Pass.
Frazer might choose one thing, but he'll know that he's got a very strong image against Johnson.
He does, and he knows he's also got the chips now that he can make a 25,000 move on this guy, test where he is.
It's 5,000 now.
Cool.
And Ian chooses the sensible route. He's giving Dave credit for the king, isn't
Okay,
he?
check on the blind.
He is. I mean, he's playing cautious here. But if it...
No, you're not cheers.
Now, Ian Frazer's check
Check.
dark. And David Johnson said, give us another one. Has Henry opened the door here?
I think it's going to be hard for Johnson to call a sizable bet, and Frazer's going to put him to the test.
8,000.
8 into 18 makes 26.
It's a very difficult call now with third pair. Just depends on the sort of game that Johnson has.
Just wonder that ace there, Roland, it would have made a straight if Frazer had been... Ooh, he's called. Had been playing something like the Jack Queen.
King.
No, 10.
10?
I think he was trying to reach low there. It was a little psychological ploy. He thought perhaps that if David Johnson had the king, that he could have said he had a 10. But what if Johnson had queen high there?
Good call from Johnson. I don't know if that shows calling station tendencies or not.
Yeah, Johnson back into it, but he has been up and down already. Look, 33%. That's geez, that's more hands probably than he's played in the first heat that he was in. What else surprises you?
Raj Modha's been very quiet so far. And Jimmy White, they've both been staying under the radar. People haven't really stepped out of line yet.
Has this all just been the appetizer for the game to come?
I think this is undoubtedly going to heat up. I mean, it is the most exciting time of these heats, of this format, when it goes down to the bubble for the final.
Raise to 7,000.
You see all the situations constantly changing.
Woodley is a bird in form. And
Pass.
I believe, Roland, that he has won every pot he's played. Which is a great thing, isn't it?
It's not a bad thing, Jesse.
Am I stating the obvious, or are you just agreeing with me?
You know, in this format, people do come out much cagier. I mean, if you think about last week's heat, when we saw Texas, John Houston out within 12 hands, and we saw followed out the door quickly by Joe Beavers. And within 53 hands, it was all over. Here we've gone 20 hands, and there's barely been a chip in the pot, but it's bubbling.
Right. I mean, it's a legitimate strategy to go gung-ho in those heats, but there's a lot more reasons to not do that in this semifinal.
I think that's debatable, Jesse. I would be playing open and looking to create chips, and looking to risk it all.
It's counterintuitive then, isn't it? The strategy, which is great.
If you look at how the players approach it once they get a stack, that will tell you a lot about them. I think Ian Frazer has the game to push people around when he gets chips. I'm very much looking also next week to seeing Ram Vaswani, the crazy horse, playing his semi-final in this format, because I don't think he's going to hold back.
Well, I did get a chance to see Ram play a semi-final in this format about 6 months ago, and he was first out. So, but to be fair, he wasn't very lucky either. But I think that you're right about that. Very right about that.
I think Ian Woodley is capable of taking the game to the other players.
I mean, a lot of people, I would say the best players in the world, talk like yourself, which is that tournament strategy is counterintuitive, which means whatever it seems like the reasonable thing is for most players to do, you should do the opposite.
Yeah, if you have the game and the ability, the technical ability to manipulate the situations, then you should be leaning on people with your chip stacks and putting your chips to good use. If, however, you don't have that ability, then it makes sense to play more solid, and you can't criticize people for playing to their ability or for their experience.
The raise came from Raj Modha in the small blind, and Jimmy White called for 7 in the big blind. Now White's got the best hand.
Check.
And has Raj Modha slipped it here by not following through?
I think so. I mean, the flop is such a key area where you're going to take pots. As I've said before, you do really miss a bet. And again, it's very passive play.
Actually, an ace, a great card now for Raj. It would make Jimmy's pair and make his straight. But this is interesting. Oh, that's not a very big bet.
You think?
Fold.
1 chip, 2 chip, red chip, blue chip. And
I think Raj probably should have, if he was going to bluff a little harder than that.
Yeah, kind of just blew on the pot, didn't he? But the first level is done, and we're still 6 ways, and a sign of caginess, Roland, that the short stack still has 3/4 of his chips.
Yeah, not really much has happened so far. It's been very cagey. It's been like a chess match early on, people just feeling each other out and not really wanting to make too much of a noise. I think that's going to change as the blinds go up and the action will happen. And once someone gets the chips, then we can expect real fireworks, especially if it's Ian Frazer or Ian Woodley.
Lines 2 and 4,000 now. Raj Modha on the button, but short stack, perhaps 76,000. Is he? You noticed anything? Do you think he needs to change up a little bit? I mean, this is a lot of little things, maybe.
I think the ace queen here for Dave Johnson is a nice start to the second level. And here's Jimmy White. See, Jimmy there, just discipline with the king jack. Surprising. I'm interested to see how David Rudling is going to play this afternoon. I don't know much about him, but he has the look of a man who wants to do something.
He does, and this is definitely a statement from David Rudling that he's looking to break something open here.
Check.
I mean, you have to crack eggs to make an omelet.
I think he's pleased he'll be pleased that's not a 5 of clubs there.
8,000.
If it was a 5 of clubs, we would have heard from him.
We might very well.
And he'd have been in very bad shape against a higher flush draw in the top pair.
Would you come in the hotel last
Johnson,
night, or did you
3
just go
stars.
up
You get 1 star each for good behavior.
Blackpool time at the other side. 10 minutes for me.
Is it?
David Johnson is the pride of Bridge North of late. They say he's one of those young players on the Bridge North circuit who's tearing up the games.
What is Bridge North?
Is
it a card game?
What?
It's not a card game.
I think it's a town.
Right. Where?
Sort of outside of Wolverhampton. Some call it the center of the universe. The Garden of Eden in the UK, I've heard. There's 29 pubs.
In here before,
and 14 fish and chip shops.
Yes.
Raise 8,000.
No, I think it's a town just outside of Wolverhampton. One of the oldest towns in the UK. I'm making it up. Meanwhile, Rudling has raised Ian Woodley, and it's a bit hard-headed of David, isn't it? Because he's showing that he's not going to be back down. I mean, Ian showed the propensity to come over the top of him.
He has. Ian Frazer. Ian Woodley even is again not a man you particularly want on your
6-10
on your left. He's quite experienced, and he will put his chips in at a sign of weakness.
4 now.
Por favor.
Por favor.
2 and 4 are up. Everybody very serious about their cards right now.
Yes.
the Raj. It's the kind of thing that if you're a bit short-stacked gets you feeling buoyant in a hurry.
2 black aces.
Right?
Best way to get action.
Jesus Christ, man.
Just pray, I suppose.
To get past me, you want to get past him, I'll tell you.
Raise to 10,000 total.
Raj Modha could really use somebody to sort of blow a gasket here. Will he advertise? He'll need to, won't he? No.
I mean, it's a question of if you're showing down good hands, people aren't going to pay you off. And if you're showing down bad hands, they might pay you off, but it also hinders your ability to bluff. At this level, I don't think there's any reason to be showing hands.
Right.
Much better to keep your opponents guessing.
dark
And these
if you like.
these players, I think, to a man, have shown a propensity to show hands. I mean, the thing is you show a bluff, and people think that you're not going to be bluffing the next time, or you show a good hand, they think, well, now you're going to be bluffing the next time. It doesn't really serve to create a purpose.
You shouldn't give information unless you know what you're doing it for, right?
Yeah, it has to be a very, very good reason. And I would say, as my advice to any player is, don't show. As a rule, don't show your cards unless you have to.
I have this feeling, Roland, that Woodley has been, or at least portrayed, an image of over-aggressiveness on the button, and that's why Frazer's given him the long look here, isn't it?
It is, but again, people get protective of their blinds. I'd say
laugh at you or blow a kiss.
don't be too protective of your blinds. You have to be playing pots out of position, and people can find hands, and it's your blind. Don't take it personally.
It's funny, Ian, he was in the commentary box a few weeks
You
ago,
got
and he said, it's all right to pretend you take it personally, but you never should.
Of course, you can't think the guy's particularly raising your hands. I mean, he might be. He might think that you're weak and defending too much, and if I do that, then you can play back. But generally, it's not a bad idea to give people some credit for their hands.
Jeez, Ian's announced re-raise. This, to me, seems a bit dangerous, but is he going to get it through?
I think he will get it through on this occasion because Ian's only got King 10. But also, there's another man to act.
18's the raise?
Yeah, Johnson hasn't even looked at his cards yet, but he folded them quickly.
No chip count. Yeah, know how much he's got left.
And I just wonder if this is kind of because both these guys see themselves
as table captain.
I mean, from what we've seen from Woodley, he might consider re-raising here, and is calling an option and trying to scare Frazer that way.
Well, he has position.
What does he put Frazer on?
87.
Geez, this pot's gotten very big. It's 18,000 more.
87.
Sorry, got it wrong.
And these guys not that far away from each other in chips.
Another 87 behind.
87.
Do you think perhaps both these guys would agree to take their money back at this stage?
I think Ian may do. I'm not saying which one.
I mean, Woodley's only stuck in 6 so far, or 12 so far.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, he's not committed to the hand.
One stuck
You'd
in.
think it would be a rash decision to call with King 10 and try and hit something on the flop. From here, I'd say Ian's options are. I mean, any option is available. If you're there on the table, you can be taking a read on whether you think Frazer's strong.
We could be seeing a car crash here, and this could be 2 guys saying it's me or you, and I am not gonna back down, bully.
I think I'm in front, so I'm all in.
Yo! Ian Woodley! Wow, that's great stuff. That is great stuff, Roland.
Fantastic play from Ian Woodley. Fantastic play. He had the best hand. He had marginally the best hand. He read Ian Frazer well. Ian Frazer made a good move, but that's the thing. If you want to make moves and you do it against good players, they can read you and pick you off. And
helps when you got an end.
That's the fantastic play by Ian Woodley.
Don't underestimate Ian Woodley. The most exciting man in European poker takes the chip lead with a stamp of authority. That's basically, Ian Woodley was risking his whole tournament on two things, instinct and pressure.
He was, and he got rewarded for it, and now he's in a great situation thanks to the excellent play. He's the only player on the table who's above their starting
sure
stack.
the big hotels are fully booked, so
And the dynamics that this created. I mean, Frazer, who's got plenty of chips, must feel like he's walking around with 2 limbs missing.
Of course, once you have some chips and then they're gone, things become very different. And if Ian Woodley has got his wits about him, he can really put the pressure on now. He can put his foot on the gas. Queen deuce suited. I mean, this is the stage where just start to make small raises and try and put the pressure on people.
I think you're right. I mean, you'd have to be a pretty sick man to call him at this stage, wouldn't you? Raj has just limped in here, and Jimmy White's going to be happy to take a free flop. What is Jimmy telling himself?
$5,000.
That time Raj got the right color chip in the pot.
And he won it with the worst hand.
Yeah. He's the thing I think about Raj that sets him sort of apart is that
They're going that way on.
he does not panic. I mean, I don't know if his heartbeat goes above a standing level, but you can see the chip counts. Woodley has been the class. There's just nothing else to say.
That's amazing. It's uncanny.
It is. We've had one each so
We
far.
have we have 3 very successful players in this heat.
I think you'll
Ian
pass
Frazer,
it.
Jimmy White and Raj Modha have all won big TV tournaments.
Yeah, mix it up. You've done everything then.
Yes.
Got to mix your game
And
up.
I think one of the nice things, we know that Ian Frazer is a champion, but now we're going to get to see how he responds to a bit of adversity, Roland.
I mean, he shouldn't be panicking. He's still got pretty much what he started with. It's not a calamity by any means. Sometimes the brain can do funny things when you've had a few chips and then you have a few less.
Well, Rudling peeling off the flop. He's winning right now. There's 22,000 in the pot. Everything feels a little bit fragile right here. And not a bad flop
Check.
for either player.
10,000.
Well, it's not really a great flop for either player either.
Frazer puts the pressure on, and the aggressor wins. So often in No Limit, the aggressive player wins. Raj Modha is a nuclear physician. Nuclear medicine. Is it?
No, I'm having this one.
Isn't that the same thing that Helmut has a degree in?
No, I was actually talking to him. He's he injects people with radiation.
Helmut?
I haven't got enough to put it down, have I?
That's Raj. Certain kind of diagnostic tests. Some kind of diagnostic science. It's quite. You have to. It's quite clever. Was that nuclear or nuclear?
Well, it's the 12,000 total.
It's all the same to me.
Plus.
Under the gun, Frazer. Just. How do you know if a guy is making a steam raise or a real one? I reckon all you can do is guess.
Well, I mean, you've got to take a read on the player. I mean, sometimes they are going to be steaming, but they're still going to have a hand.
Darn, that sucks, doesn't it? It is one of the great things about poker that sometimes if you're steaming, it can work to your advantage, because if you do pick up a hand, you can get a tremendous amount of action.
Of course, I mean, you'd like to be playing pots against someone who's steaming. I mean, it's not just they could have a pair of kings, but if you manage to crack that pair of kings, they're more likely to pay you off. So it could still pay to go up against a big hand against a steaming player, because you could beat their aces or their kings, and they're going to think, I don't really like what's happening here.
Do you know about that from both sides of the felt? Steamer and the steamee?
Yes, for sure. I mean, when you play not a lot of tournaments, you just have to, and you do it for a living almost, you have to get used to the fact that you get bad beats, and if you can't take it, then you shouldn't be in the game. Having said that, we'll get it.
halfway through the second level here, Roland, and Woodley, of course, out front. Who's been the other player of the heat for you?
So far, Ian Fraser's he's made some good moves. One didn't come off, but generally he's been ducking and diving, and it's just the two Ians so far who have showed any intent on doing something without the hand.
The Rudling, the short stack, he's got just about half of Woodley, but no reason to panic, I would imagine. Wouldn't imagine.
No, I don't think there is, really. And he's an experienced player, fourth in the Russian Open, and has been playing around the world, the Irish Open and Bellagio. So he'll know not to panic.
We've got a problem. No, we've got a problem.
Raised to 11,000 total.
I think we've always had a problem.
+7. I think Woodley's first instinct was do it again, but on second thought, is it perhaps not? Is there a reason it wouldn't be a good idea? Besides the fact that actually Rudling has something.
Well, if you keep coming over the top, then they are going to start giving you less credit, and they will take their shot with a certain hand. I mean, they're not going to get antied away, players like Rudling or Raj. They know the value of chips in the final.
No, nice hand.
And if you do make a move, I think the guys that make those beautiful moves, it's all about the timing, isn't it?
Yeah, I was surprised with how some of the players played that hand.
The warmth, I can feel
Some of the hands that were passed there.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
It's amazing.
The Ians both had reasonable holdings that they could have played.
Two Ians.
It gave some respect to Mr. Rudling.
Jimmy White.
Plus.
This game's going on at a good clip, isn't it?
It is. It's no real big pots, no real dwelling up. There's people playing their hands.
Raised to 12,000 total. Plus.
The razor on the button.
Gotten very silent. What is... Oh.
Re-raise?
Oh, nice play, Raj Modha. And this is the re-raise, you would say, Roland, of a guy who's been observing everything that's been going on.
He has. He's seen Ian Frazer being aggressive, and he's seen the position. This is Ian Frazer's raised on the button. And had Ian Frazer raised first to act, he would have probably not done this with the ace-6, but he doesn't give him much respect on the button.
15,000.
And ace-6, his own hand is a marginal hand, but he's decided to play aggressively because he doesn't think that Ian Frazer has much of a hand.
It's still a big gamble, though, Modha, because he knows he can't call a re-raise.
Of course, and also if Ian Frazer decides to take off a flop, there's not many good flops for ace-6 against someone who's called a re-raise to you in position.
It's a dangerous game, but somebody's got to play it, and Frazer will never know how good shape he's in, will he?
Again, I mean, he has essentially jack high. He could see a flop and see what happens, but Raj has been rather in line today. Ian's showing a good propensity to raise a hand.
Time. That ain't enough.
Isn't it? What did you the other one as well?
And I'll tell you, we haven't seen that many hands turned over, Roland, but it looks like the silent assassins are getting a lot, and Ian, who
excuse me,
showed me that as well.
It's alright.
Well, got to keep a bit of guesswork in there.
he's come out as the bully, and he's finding out. Do you think perhaps he's finding out this table is a little tougher than he may be giving it credit for?
Well, I think he's just he's been unlucky in the fact that he's had hands and hasn't got action on them, and then when people have taken a stand against him, it has been the time when he doesn't have them. But because he's raised all the other pots when he does have the ace kings and the pairs, they're thinking he's always at it. So things have just been a little bit unlucky for him.
Yep, that's a good point.
No.
Very good point. Sometimes the dog just eats you.
Yeah, Jim.
That's the first raise you've shown. It's like the best you've had, really. In 12 raises, you just show one ace king.
You've got to respect him, and I'm not you, mushrooms. You know what I mean? He's a face. You're all nobodies. You know, I've got to show him, haven't I?
His mum likes me.
Yeah, his mum likes
But he's a nice guy in Woodley, but I mean, to call the other guys faces, they all have faces like mushrooms. I mean,
Well, yeah, not going to endear you.
like it.
His mum likes Jimmy White. We all like Jimmy White.
Cool.
It's funny that the two people who really have had cards in this fight have been the two Ians, who probably would have been raising anyway.
Cool.
And Frazer just calling with the 2-5s, perhaps when he might have thought to normally raise, or a lot of people would. I guess that's just admitting that he has a very weak image here.
Yeah, I think he's just he doesn't want to continue being raised or being re-raised.
Check.
Check. Check.
Jimmy White could convince himself he has 2 straight draws. He does, 9 or king.
Ian Frazer knows. He knows.
10,000.
He knows how to play this game.
Cool.
Cool.
It's a long call for Jimmy, isn't it?
It's a big call. I mean, he's just got an inside straight draw. He's decided at this point. I don't know really why he's called before the flop and then called on the flop with his holding. I suppose he's made up the small blind, but I mean, he should be raising if he thinks he has the best hand.
Check.
He's calling really to hit an inside straight draw.
Got 2 insides anyway. But yeah.
Well,
Plus.
I'll tell you what, that was
big bully here.
got to the point where that was ambitious for Ian, wasn't
Do you think
it?
Frazer knew he had the best hand?
I don't think so. Wonder what he put
Not
Jimmy
bang
on.
on.
Jack 10, Queen 9, something like that.
I think 2 pair was enough.
Yes, 2 pair would have been enough. How to smile and look like you're crying.
You'll never know just how much I care.
Too early to think about any of these guys having different game plans than the one they've come in with?
Feel so good about yourself passing to me.
Has everybody got a successful game plan at this stage for their own game?
Go on, I won't even look. I won't even look because then I'll be gutted.
Has settled down
Big end.
into the game, and although he has a few more chips than say David or Jimmy, they shouldn't be feeling despondent. I mean,
Too good.
the blinds are still small and they're still in the game when the blinds are about to go up. So
You did, didn't
it
you?
doesn't take much once the blinds are raised to turn things around.
Ace 4 suited.
I'll tell you,
It's a monster.
from the vibes around this table,
He's got many.
pretty amazing that Frazer has more chips than he started with. He has battled for them, hasn't he?
He has
Premium
been up
hands
and
only
down and he's
now.
been involved. But
You forget I've heard all this before.
Yeah, I know. You're not right enough to remember it.
Might have been deuce 4.
the two Ians have looked the class act so far. I think that's fair to say.
That's been enough of it, been suited.
Plus.
4,000. I like the way Raj Modha's looking at this one. Rudling from the button, and his seat tonight, Roland. I mean, it seems to be a bit of a problem.
Raise to 11,000 total.
11 ski.
7.
I mean, he's always got to be raising into Ian and Ian.
That's a good pass. You could have been in a lot of trouble. You could have been in a lot of trouble.
Pass. With his Queen 9. You're right.
No,
I like that. That's the best one ever.
I remember the semi-final you played
He
in a
knows
similar tournament last year, Roland. And what broke it open, I remember, was with Tony Bloom. And he stuck all the chips in, and you couldn't believe he stuck all the chips in.
Way back when.
Sometimes, I mean, you get forced into these situations, and you're like, you want to risk your whole tournament on this, and that forces you to it, don't they?
Yeah, the Lizard put his money in against me with pocket eights. Called his chips off with pocket eights at ace king, and there's an excellent player, Tony Bloom. I managed to win that race as expected, and yeah, from then on it was difficult for the other people because I was yielding my stack. Ian Woodley hasn't started to do that, but I think once we go to the next level, in a few hands' time, then the blinds start becoming significant.
Well, did you see that? Woodley raised with the 2-8s on the button, and Ian Frazer folded the 9-10 of spades, like they were a 9-10 of spades.
You'd expect Ian Frazer to look at the flop, but he knows that with Ian Woodley on his right, he has position on opening position on the rest of the table. So in the pots that Ian isn't involved in, he doesn't need to go up against Ian because the other pots he's going to have the lead over the other players. It's very much situational,
this
Jimmy's
semi-final.
looking at both.
It's sort of
It's advisable.
it's a yet to spark to life, but you have the feeling that it's one pot away from becoming a very
13,000 total.
topsy-turvy event.
Roland, Woodley's gotten the pocket eights 2 hands running, and remember, even snowmen melt in the spring.
Lucky to have your hands, aren't you? Nice size.
Just said the same.
I know you live in Denmark, Jesse. We don't get that much snow in springtime where we.
Sevens in this pack.
Can't be that many twos as well, can it?
Yeah. I mean, you've known Ian Woodley for, I would imagine, for a couple of years. He's been on the scene for quite a while, and do you feel like are you surprised by him, considering what you thought he was capable of so far? Have you ever seen him bully like this, that sort of thing? Does he have
I've
that?
seen Ian play pretty well on a few occasions.
He's definitely enjoying himself.
Can I get a ruling on that? Is he allowed? Marty, can he throw things at me?
Oh, he threw the bottle at him, did he? That was pretty good.
I'm sure that's a sin bin offence.
13,000 total. Plus.
Only a pair, boys.
Scary.
What are they?
Garden gates.
Wow. Very popular hand.
Woodley got the eights.
Well, you had an 8 earlier.
He wants to tell
You're
people he had the
consistent,
eights
Dino.
twice in a row, but he's...
Every time I see you, you're boot.
And Frazer there, I mean, he picked up a plastic bottle and threw it at Ian Woodley. I mean...
Don't cramp my style, son.
The banter between Fraser and Woodley is good. It's nice that they've got a few seats between them.
So.
Thanks, Dave.
Fraser hasn't had any hands so far today. Just ace king, a couple of times,
13,000
a few big pairs, and now aces.
And, several times.
Cool.
When I think Fraser's picked up a hand, Dave Johnson has picked up hands behind him. It was the ace-queen against the ace-jack before, now the king-jack against the aces. And I'm guessing Johnson's in a bit of a pickle here, Roland.
You got the feeling.
He just doesn't. He wants to avoid paint on the flop. King or jack is going to spell real trouble for him.
Some cojones.
But with that being said, this is the danger of cold calling before the flop, isn't it?
It is. You never really establish where your hand is because the razor can have anything. You really are calling to hit or to take it away. It's tough to know where you are.
Looks like Frazer is somewhere between a bet and a check raise, and
15,000.
he's gone for the first option.
David Johnson's probably thinking that he was unlucky there with that flop.
Yeah.
He was very lucky indeed. Sometimes in these games, it's not what you do when you hit. It's what happens when you miss. And
That's what when I'm raised once and
sometimes it's just good to avoid certain situations. He can consider himself lucky there.
Right.
But there's two stacks going away.
It's.
Then I passed last time.
I think what you see a lot, I mean, we've seen it here a couple times, is that when a guy's been raising a lot, well, then he'll raise again, and you'll have sort of a medium strength holding and call him. When really it's more important to raise or fold the guy's been raising a lot, isn't it?
It is. You try and take the initiative on the flop. The problem again is that it's not quite deep stacked enough here. If someone opens at the 2-4 level for 10,000, then you have to make it 30 and put in a third of your stack to do it. It's difficult.
Raise from the button for Jimmy White, and it's through so far. It's total of 10,000. And Woodley's got a bullet here. This is about
Be interesting to see how he plays it. That's a good play for me, and again.
Wow. The other one's a deuce.
He can play this guy, Woodley.
Ian is a solid tournament player.
It's a one.
Have you offered to give him your autograph afterwards or something?
Second in the Irish Open last year.
I say it's for me,
Go
really.
on, Jimmy.
No, it's for me, really.
His mum's name Ian as well, actually.
Yeah.
His mum's
My
named
little
Ian as
brother,
well
Ian.
when asking for Jimmy White's order as well.
That's good.
Ian Woodley second last year in the Irish Open.
He was, and
Sometimes the second in that tournament is.
I wouldn't think about that.
Raised to 8,000 total.
A lot of people would qualify his second much differently than they would have qualified your second this year. But Jimmy White's made it 8,000, and this is the first time Rudling's picked up a big hand.
Re-raised to 20,000 total.
Look, it's great news for Woodley, actually, isn't it?
Snowman once more. Third time he's had that pocket eights.
I mean,
Oh, what more? Guess you're not passing.
75 there.
Rudling can't get the smile off his face. He doesn't exactly look scared, does he? Oh, that's good. Look a little bit
He may influence
concerned.
Ian that it's the last hand of the level. Because it doesn't have to get involved here.
Oh,
You don't.
Yeah.
You've got a big stack, Ian. Why do you need to get involved? Good fold.
Yeah, it's automatic there, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
Question is, what's Jimmy White going to do for 12,000? Wow, he folded quickly, did Jimmy White. And
Well played, Jimmy.
I'm going to let you come in then.
well played by all players?
I think so. Everyone played exactly right there.
Two levels, Roland. What do you see?
It's the two Ians dominating so far. David and Raj being pretty quiet, and Dave and Jimmy leading a few chips away, but everyone's still in the game.
We're not yet looking at 4 players for one spot.
No, I don't think so. I think there's so much play here, and it can turn around very quickly.
Still 6 ways,
Wait,
and
you see what I
Roland and I lucky to be joined by the runner-up in this event from last year,
3-7.
Johnny Texas Houston. Johnny, what's your view on the way things are going?
Yeah, oh, you weren't that strong.
Great. Thanks for having me in here. This isn't the way I wanted to make the semi-final, but watching Ian's play, he's playing this type of game I expected Ian to, and he's in a good position now. I think he needs one person to go out now, and I think the others will start battling out. But it's going well for Ian.
Ian Woodley, I guess you're talking about.
Yeah, Ian Woodley. Yeah.
And I understand that in the green room they're going nuts about Jimmy White, aren't they?
Oh, it's been fantastic in the green room.
waiting
Everything
for you that
Jimmy's
time, I
done.
promise you.
People are cheering him on. Pass Jimmy, call Jimmy. It's been
We've got
very
an
exciting. He's the people's champion, definitely, on this one.
To be fair, most of that Jimmy White's been doing, Roland, is passing and calling.
Yeah, you're right there, Jesse. Yeah.
He's the most popular player on the table, but with Ian Frazer and Ian Woodley, he's only up against 3 others. Because those two definitely aren't going to be most popular.
It's a really good sign to pick up.
Before he looked at his cards.
It's a good sign to pick up, man.
Frazer has really been battling.
Thought
I
he was
mean,
gonna pass here.
this has not been an easy day at the office for him.
You got to remember, this isn't new territory for Ian. He's been here before. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows the moves. He's very confident, and I wouldn't write Ian off. I fancy Ian to get through on this one as well.
Well, right now he is second in chips.
Let's see if I can get you all in then, Raj.
Who's going to crack
They're
first,
blocking.
would you say, Roland?
Accommodate him.
I don't think any of them are going to crack. I think that actually
They bust
the
them.
pressure
They
of
bust them
blinds
if they
may
get
get to them.
Like
But I
Wooders.
think that they're all ready for the
I like
battle.
busting aces.
Jimmy White under the gun.
I don't think any of them are going to say, I give up. That
But there does come a time, doesn't there, when you stop going into sort of waiting mode and you say, I'm in gambling mode now.
Yeah, of course. There is a time when you can't wait for hands anymore. You just have to make a point and draw a line in the sand. But that point is it's not here yet for any of them. They've still all got playable stacks.
I mean, Johnny, there's an argument that you're always in gambling mode.
Might get 2 all-ins.
That's right, Jesse.
Dave Johnson folding the ace-8 in the small blind there. And Modha, he's come over the top of Frazer once before. But Frazer just keeps going at him. It's a total of 15,000.
Not this time,
He's
eh?
playing like a
No,
battering
this time.
ram, isn't Ian Frazer?
Ian is not giving any letter in the aggression that he's been showing. I think he didn't have much sleep last night, and he knows his batteries, his candles is running thin, so he needs to
There's
do something
only
with it
one
quickly.
Johnny Texas.
Thanks. This is great. This is me now commentating on Ian, because Ian's never really hasn't been making that many finals of this, and I have, so he's had to do all the commentating. So it's nice for me being this side now. But he's a great guy, Ian, and he's great for the game, and I really do wish him well in this one.
Rudling reaching for chips.
Raise to 16,000 total.
And the kind of hand up front, I guess you're happy to raise with, but not so feeling so good as to get any action.
Excuse me.
Pass.
Going through the gears.
It went through the old mill there, did it? No one even had a think.
No one even give you a switch.
There's just starting to be some separation here between the big and small stacks, and with that raise, Rudling putting himself more into the top tier than the bottom.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jesse. That they don't really want to be attacking the big stacks at the moment. It's only the way they're going to clash is with big hands.
I know, proper players.
What chance we got?
Yeah.
What chance have we got?
Pocket sevens.
Yeah. Try and finish higher than third in the European rankings. You might get one.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Overqualified.
Saw Johnny on here last week, Jesse.
Pass.
Pass. The Sal Barrow.
Pass.
Was one of the many victims of LaSalle Barrow.
Gosh, he was tough, wasn't he? I mean, Johnny, at the beginning it looked like,
you think that's
went out against LaSalle. LaSalle knocked everybody out, didn't he?
Yeah, I was kind of, when I came back to the studio after the song for about an hour, I realised everybody else was
TV's listening to this. All you sponsors out there.
Took out Liz Lou, Kevin O'Connell and yourself.
What about the Walrus?
And the Walrus. I think he knocked 4 out of the 5 guys.
You know.
And Joe Beavers. He knocked everyone out.
Yeah, I think Joe just went after I did. I mean, that was a tremendous shot. That was Joe going out. I thought Joe would have been in for the whole duration of that match.
What, from there? Are you
Raise
mad?
to 15,000
Are you mad?
total.
I didn't want to do it.
Pass.
It's like that song.
What?
All in.
Oh, Jimmy!
Wow, look at this. Ian has raised Jimmy, has raised Woodley's big blind, and White all in with the ducks.
So he gets the ump. When you raise
Does he
my big
have
blind,
enough
he gets the ump
chips to get Frazer off this hand?
I just know I've got a big hand and I ain't looked yet. I just know it. You know when you know.
Pass.
Oh, come on,
for
baby.
I think the whole green room will
Triple
be
up
cheering
here. I
for
can
a
go
2
home, can't I?
Jesse.
Just come back tomorrow.
Just let me play your blinds out.
Yeah. Wow.
Woodley can't believe it. He's had to look twice.
Joking.
He's had to look twice.
How much is Jimmy's? You got more? What you got here? How many you got? It's all happening,
What's the
isn't
play
it?
here?
60.
It's all in.
55,000 total.
Well, you see, Ian's making a bit of speech there, and Ian's clever enough to pick up on this, and he's going to realise he's got a big hand with this. So, I think the move's definitely
We're going to have to
all
take a
in.
minute to think about it. It's all in.
There you go.
Wow.
All in.
It's probably done Frazer a favour in a sense,
Started
because it's
something
not
there.
going to cost him any chips no matter what.
Pass.
And this is
Start the motor,
not good situation here for Jimmy White. He's going to have to outrun the Cowboys. And do you think Jimmy lost patience here, or was he making a good move on Frazer?
I think you just
As many
have
ounces
to be
as
aware
you
that there
want,
are
Nada.
people behind you. And
Is that right? Is it?
That's right.
he's drawn a line in the sand.
Wow.
I mean, it looks bad
I
because the
wasn't
kings are there,
calling
but I don't
anyway.
think he's
I'd
done
ace
that much
10.
wrong.
I think this is the
No,
only
well,
time
I
Jimmy's had a
wasn't
pair, though,
calling
isn't it? From
either.
a pair of nines in the early stages now. He's picked up his second pair and twos and thinks, well, I'll make me
All the
move now.
mums that sitting at home
The
now.
People's
going,
Champion Jimmy White all in.
Oh no, I could be a baddie now. I could be a baddie,
I'd
couldn't
love
I?
to see it too.
Oh! Christ, girl. Jesus Christ.
It ain't
3
there.
and 5 to keep it going.
It ain't there.
King.
Just keep it low.
Give me a King Kong, girl.
Nice and low.
King would end it.
It's a low one.
Ooh.
In fact,
Any
a
paint
four
you
would
like
end
is
it.
good
wouldn't
with me, girl.
2 hearts, I reckon.
Any
He
paint.
needs a
love.
duck.
Ooh.
Kevin O'Connell's got one.
Jimmy White needs to. Well, he got on the river before.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Good luck, boys.
Well done, Jim.
Take care. See ya.
Well, he's provided
You've got
so
to
much
go.
entertainment, has Jimmy White, in this
Take care,
tournament
son.
already. But
Told him
out
to
in
raise my big
sixth.
blind, didn't I?
Case of never hitting the flop today, perhaps,
That's
guys.
so brave with those
Yeah,
kings.
Jimmy's very unlucky there. He's,
You pull out
he
those
had a
sort of
pair of
moves all
nines
day.
early on, and he's found another pair, made a move, and playing his luck.
Last hand for Jimmy White. The deuces ran into the Cowboys behind him, and the no help 2 pair beating the lower.
You know, you don't get any cards, and obviously they follow up the big blind with an automatic raise, and if you've got no chips, you can't really do that. So you can't sort of steal any pots. So I thought I'd have to make a move sooner or later.
So now, one seat open. And do you guys think it'll all go very quick from here?
Lion 126.
Roland, yeah.
I mean, I can't see Ian putting his foot down as much as myself or Johnny Houston here would, but I think that he will step up his game a notch. It's just a question of how the others react. There's now,
well, boys, you better be a bit cagey now.
4 stacks going for 2 places. If you think that Ian's got his place
I
locked
fancy
up,
someone else will be going.
and it's just a question of who wants to be the first to walk over the rickety bridge.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right, don't limp.
Do you think Woodley and Frazer are due for a confrontation here?
I don't think Woodley would mind a confrontation here, but Frazer has to be careful of Woodley because he can knock him out.
I mean, Johnny, that one pot that Woodley played against Frazer, the all-in early, he's really sent a message to Ian, hasn't he?
Yeah, I was very impressed with that move by Ian. You know, I've been playing with Ian in these competitions, as you know, Jesse, for some time, and you know, I didn't realise that Ian had, you know, I know he's got a lot of moves in, but that was a very, very brave move. That was, and that did send a message to Ian, and I think that he'll respect that. I think the smaller stacks now are the ones that are going to go up against each other. But this just builds it up for a great final, these players. I mean, you've got great players coming through in the next semi-final. Anthony Hardy, people like that. They're all good players, and I think it's going to make great viewing for this final.
Is this sort of a recipe right now, Roland, for Woodley to get over 400,000 in chips for the final?
I mean, if I was sitting there with that stack, I would be aiming for at least 400,000 for the final. This is his real chance.
16,000 total.
I think that in some ways,
See that switched off a long time ago. See that thing
in some ways you can't because the short stacks will push on you, but you know, Ian can test the water with small raises, and if someone resists him, he can get out of the way. But every time he can be taking 10, 15,000, and then he'll be getting his stack up very, very capably. I mean, he has to remember that you know, although he's going to take chips into the final, if he gets there, there are going to be other players. You know, Ram Vaswani coming from the other heat is an excellent player, and there's Roy Brindley's there as well. You know, there's people. There's going to be other big stacks. So this is his chance to really set his marker down for a big score in the final.
That's what's going on there. Woodley sort of muttering to Rudling, how many have you got left? And it's the threat of that is pretty scary, isn't it?
It's just the balance now between, you know, if you get the chips, you want to go heavy to the final, but the other guys are just going to want to be getting there, and you can really take advantage of that.
I'll give him a name check.
It really is tactics, you know.
Well, the Dave Clark.
The Dave
From
Clark.
Sudbury. Big ginger, horrible bloke.
Big geezer.
I keep picking up hands on your big blind, doing my head in.
I ain't looked yet, I ain't got a clue. Probably kings again, you know me, I'm so lucky. Unless I'm not that weak. Just flat called in.
What exactly is Ian Frazer doing there? He's been in the tank for about a minute and a half here. There's no raise to him yet.
Pass.
Yeah, the brain freeze.
Oh dear.
Pass.
He's passing. Can he pass?
Ian's running the table and knows exactly what everybody's doing here now.
Rudling better be careful here. I mean, not that 9-10's not a bad hand.
Sure? You sure?
Roland, but
Raise.
doesn't he know what Woodley's capable
We'll
of?
just look at one and then I'll let you know what we're going to do.
I'm good enough to get away from it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You might have to be. You just might have to be.
Is David Rudling playing with fire here?
Ian's enjoying himself now.
Is Ian going to ask the question?
How much more?
10,000 more.
He should ask the question.
He's done it before to Rudling early on, didn't he, with 9-5?
Take a read, Ian, and ask the question. You've got the chips to do it. I don't even like the call. I want to see a re-raise here.
Is Rudling giving off anything here? It's like he's not looking at Ian, but he can't take his eyes off him. If that's possible. It's funny, usually when a guy dwells up like this, Johnny, you'd think he's never going to make the move, but Woodley has been dwelling and then raising.
Well, he's called it.
Subtlety in your
He's
game, I
called
didn't
it.
know you had.
Roland, you think this is weak?
Occasionally. Only when I'm scared.
I like a call better than a fold, but the
Afraid.
raise was the place to take it away. But maybe he's
sevens and
planning
twos
something
come up, you're in big
further down the line.
Bit of split pot then. You get a tell for me. You've got to look first.
both
You've got to
missed.
look first at the flop. No, you've got to because you're first to act. You forgot you was out of position when you raised.
Yeah, I did that. That's logic. That's
So
hard
you're
to
going to do
argue
it
with.
now. How can you get away from it now? You've committed all your
14,000.
chips. Pretty much.
Oh, Ian's talking a great game here, isn't he?
Well, he is. I mean, is he? Rudling's really half out the window.
No, but he's a brave play. He's followed through on his bet. He hasn't been scared off by the chip leader.
Gonna get through. Guess he who dares wins. Like Woodley's really just talking himself out of it, isn't he?
I don't think he's going to call this. He's thinking to himself that if he's got a king, why would he bet it?
If we've seen one thing during these Party Poker World Open 3 heats, is that it's very, very difficult to predict what people are going to do.
That's a good point. The amazing thing, usually people, I feel like people lose nerve the longer they wait, but Woodley seems to gather strength, doesn't he?
I think
It's really a very good move.
It helps with his chip stack that he's got as well.
God, Rudling must be half in the bag right now. Please fold. Tell you what, if Woodley folds here, then Rudling deserves to go. Oh, he's done it!
Ian.
Well done, Ian.
It's class, Ian Woodley.
20,000 more.
Look at this.
Pass.
The rich get richer. Excellent play, Ian Woodley.
What do you think, Johnny? Was it just a calculated gamble Woodley took, or has he got reads on these guys?
Yeah, you've seen Ian's got a lot of experience in this type of play, and he knows exactly that he can make. He's got the chips to make this move. He doesn't really. I think the speech play has well played a part in that with Ian. He's doing a lot of speech play and he's excited. He's creating the guy to think, and he thought about it. He's made the push. It's great. I love it.
Well, you guys both might have made that move, but at this table it's been all Ian Woodley, and he deserves those 271,000, doesn't he?
Oh, most definitely, yeah. Really does. He's proved it. That big court re-raise all-in move with Ian Frazer early.
The whirlwind Jimmy White couldn't pocket those cards and has been blown out of the tournament. Find out what happens to our pros after the break.
Welcome back, and it's starting to get itchy. 5 for 3 places, and Woodley and Frazer in a bit of a seesaw battle here.
Pass.
Do you not think now, Roland, it'd be better for Ian to switch off a bit and let the other guys attack each other?
No, I think this is a real time where he can be taken. Every blind is worth a significant amount of money, and he's building his chips up for the final. They're not going to play back at him without a real big hand.
That's
and,
right.
He can take the antes and blinds, which are getting big at in this stage.
And
Raise.
it's not incorrect for the other players to lie down here in the face of Woodley, is it?
11,000 more.
No.
Pass.
So Ian's got to remember that 2 of these players are coming
pick
with him
one
to
up
that
in a minute.
final as well.
I mean, it's hard to swallow, but sometimes you got to just take your lumps, don't you? Yeah, that's right. He knows that these players are coming with him, and he's gonna beat them now, is he?
They're going to be watching this and knowing exactly what he's up to.
This is exactly the right time for him to be chipping away at them.
I mean, when you think back on that King 10 move that he played on Ian Frazer, it's like if he folds that hand, this is Ian Frazer here doing it all.
Yeah.
It's really shut Ian down there. He doesn't like Ian Frazer doesn't like his position now.
Might end up being the most important hand in the whole tournament.
Yeah. Well, Ian Frazer's going to like the hands where Ian Woodley's not in it. He's going to be wanting to attack these smaller guys to his left now.
Pass. Pass.
Uh-oh. Well, he's going to be unbeatable if he keeps picking up cards. Might be unbeatable without him.
Raise.
Oh. Oh.
18,000 total.
Wow.
You know Frazer's not scared.
All in.
You raised all in.
Oh.
Oh my! And this has been a bit of a.
Wow.
How should Johnson think about this?
Wow.
I mean, Roland, you know what the cards are. We do. Is there any way Johnson can put these guys on hands that he can beat both?
No, quite simply not. This is a dustbin for Johnson. And
yeah, it's a good pass.
You take the 18 and gives a count.
Yeah, no problem.
Woodley's actually in really bad shape because we saw the jack passed, but...
I think you've done it at the wrong time, I think.
I think he's going to call this, don't you?
Why?
I just think that the move earlier on is going to encourage him to call it. I think he's goading him to call it, and I think he'll call it.
If you're that big, you'd have just said call.
I think he believes that...
yeah, he's in front.
Well, and he also believes that Ian thinks he has no hand, so Ian's range of hands is much lower, so Ian could be doing this with a lot of hands which he's actually beating.
Mm-hmm.
But he thinks Ian doesn't know that I've got... I mean, Mr. Frazer doesn't know that I've got ace-jack.
What more?
Yeah.
So he can be doing that with a lot of things.
But tactically...
Does marginal.
Does Woodley want to take the gamble on? Because if he folds here, he's only given up about... Jeez, he's still well in front.
Well, it isn't so much the front; it's the fact he can take him out the tournament.
Right.
And that's what's going to be going through his mind now. Is this the opportunity?
Or double him up though.
Yeah.
I think that it's a fold. Yeah.
If Ian folds this will be as good as his re-raise earlier. It's a great fold.
I think judging where the state is in the tournament, he knows that Ian's not doing this without a hand though. He knows that Ian isn't doing it without a hand. Ian's putting his life on the line. He knows that, all things considered, it's a fold. It's a marginal hand, but I'd like to see him fold.
I mean, obviously, he'd love to be up against a lower ace, but if it's any other hand, he's not that far in front, is he?
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't think Ian's going to be doing it with an ace 9, ace 8. Maybe ace 10. It's a great fold if he folds. It's the correct fold though.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to play a pot this big at this stage.
You keep raising my blind. I ain't going to sit here all night, am I?
And when Ian starts saying that, you know Ian's got a big hand.
You'd be behaving yourself.
As much as I want one of these to go out first, if I double up with you, then I'm in massive shame.
I think you're right. Frazer's just giving his hand away.
Yeah.
There you go. He's going to fold it now.
You need more than that.
Wow, Woodley is too good.
Yeah, that's great. Well done, Ian.
Woodley is too good.
Did he show him that, Jesse? Did he show him? Yeah, he showed him.
Pass.
That just gives him a lot more encouragement. He's put a good hand down there. I don't think I'd want to show that there, would you?
See, your stupid raise.
I wouldn't want to show that.
No. Would you?
It's only a loan.
Cost me
No, I don't think you should really show that.
You would have showed the queen. No, you would have showed the ace. You would have showed the
ace. No. I just think it gives the guy, he thinks now what a great pass. I folded a big hand there now.
How foolish.
He's still got a lot of 259,000 chips.
I didn't realise I was that loose.
Mind you, I didn't really want to see it.
I think Ian's glad there, Ian Frazer, that he's managed to
I'm still in,
get a few chips out of him there.
Okay. Oh, we should have called Wooders. Wouldn't have minded. One jack gone and all.
I'd have hit a flash. That wouldn't have been the problem. You'd have been spitting.
You've got to be careful, all them sponsors watching you.
Pass.
Oh, I'm putting all these chips in with that rubbish.
You're not going to get the last word in with Ian Frazer.
Pass.
Let's quieted this table down a little bit, though Frazer's got some coaching.
I would, they call him.
I would.
I'm making it big enough to let you know I'm not passing.
See, this is Ian's way of playing. He picks a big hand up there and then makes a move on the button. It's great. It's people are thinking he's hitting a bit of a rush of cards here now.
Modha's capable. Does he believe that Frazer is not passing?
He's going for his chips there. I mean, it's not a hand he wants to be really calling with in a minute, is it? I don't know what he's trying to rip if you do it.
It's only 14,000 more. That's too much. Does he really not have many options here?
Well, there's only 2 read options: fold or I'm all in. That's the correct one.
Can't call.
Wants to call, but can't call.
Don't worry about that.
Stop and go.
Come on, I'm on a card rush.
It's going through my mind.
There's always a third option, is there? Stop and go. We saw an incredible stop and go in David Johnson's seat.
Amazing what a few chips
Played the
does to
stop
the
and go
volley,
with the 4-7 of clubs on. It was fantastic.
Yep, absolutely.
You're the master.
First time I'd ever seen that.
Woodley the master.
Yeah, it wasn't. The stack sizes were such that he doesn't really want to be pushing with Jack 10.
So you
Fold was
wounded
probably
me
the
now,
most
now at the passer.
prescient option.
Normally
Always
I'd
good to get the
raise
chips in
but-
first.
Look, I'm going to let these guys.
I wonder what these guys are going to be looking for to make that move, though, aren't they? You know, they pick up the aces and they make a big move.
That's a bit of a whack,
kind
isn't
of
it?
Go on, Raj.
That's a bit of a
Get
whack,
the
that
chips
one.
in first, says Modha.
Poker million holder.
Pass.
That's what we like to see.
King 10.
So whatever big move they make at this stage now, what are they going to get called
Can't
by?
you have a freeway pot?
Depends who they're going up against. I mean, you want to pick your spots. And actually, the
How did you pass? It's obviously he had nothing.
I mean, the smaller stacks, attacking the smaller stacks at this stage.
First guy.
Yeah, but the one guy you don't want to attack is the smallest stack, isn't
I
it?
mean, yeah. Well, I mean, you got Raj there making the move there. I mean,
Good luck.
The big chips might look him down. You don't, you know, it's who they're looking up to double up against.
I think the
here we
mid
go.
stacks. Ian getting another massive hand for the 18th time.
He has gotten a little bit of the run of the cards, hasn't he? And,
Can't pass. Don't be re-raising.
Promise?
Wow.
Right.
That wood is to the
20,000.
damage.
Frazer likes to show people the gun is
Pass.
loaded before he points it. Is Woodley in it? Well, obviously he's not going to play those, but is he in the kind of spot where he could be taking flops off with Ian Frazer? Would you if you had Ian Woodley stack?
The way I'd be playing it now is that, believe it or not, is that I'd be sitting back there
Don't
and
get
letting some of
involved
the
with me.
smaller stacks attack. I'd see enough chips in
Thinking
front of
about
Ian now to be confident. Just wait for a couple of people. Remembering another player goes out and they're on the bubble. Then
How
makes a
much is the
big
weight?
difference at this stage of the
14,000
tournament.
more.
This next person going out now.
Well, I mean,
Wooders, don't get involved with me. I'm
All
telling
right,
you.
all right, go on. I'll let it go.
Pass.
Bet he showed the 2 there.
You only got to ask nice and I'll pass, see?
I know Woodley does have a big stack, but it's also it's only
Going front?
50,000 above average for the final table, where 200,000 will be average.
Yeah, it's only 50,000 above average, Jesse, and he needs to keep pushing on here. There's still 350,000 chips out there that he could get hold of. He really wants to
I'll
make
move my chips nearer to that blue
That's
bit
make
of
the,
felt.
he wants to not
That's
just wipe
Just
a couple of
remind
players
you
out,
guys
but
Let's hope they
quick they're
fall
gonna
over.
go in.
effectively
Let's please God they fall over.
take the ammunition from the other players for the
What
final.
happens then, man, if they fall in?
They're in.
Are they? I might want them in this time.
I'll have a
Definitely
screamer.
different ways to approach it.
I mean, with 11 players left, he has the chance
You're
not only to
putting them
knock
up,
out
they're
2,
scared.
but
No, just
virtually eliminate another 2.
They're not going to make a
if
move
things go
unless
right.
they got a monster
I
one of
know.
these 3. You know that. Be careful because I've got a massive hand here.
He feels,
I feel like
feels
Rudling's
obliged.
got a really
because he's on
tough seat at this
Platoon.
table.
Well, yeah, it's not the place where I'd like to be sitting, isn't it?
I like that. I like that.
16,000.
Just that little bit there. It was good. It was good.
I've played with Rudling a couple of times. And he's a pretty good steady player. You know, he won't. He'll make moves. He knows he can put the hands down.
Ian could have him on here with the ace.
Dear. Dave.
I think if he puts more in, he's going to call here, though.
I'm ready to go, mate. 50 is good for me.
How much more, please? This is serious, not. Do need to know.
Johnny, you think Rudling's going to back this up because he's going to have to lose patience. You agree there, Roland?
I think that he's gone past the point of no return now.
Free total.
He's got 2 picture cards. Feels I think he wants the call now. Wants to put him all in.
I think he'd rather take the pot, but if Ian's taking this much time,
He's folding.
Well, Rudling was being honest in that case. I'm ready to go. You can't push me off him.
it's easy to say that when Ian sets them all in. It's another question.
The longer Ian takes, the weaker it looks.
Must be tasty, would it? It must be tasty, boy.
Now Frazer's getting busy. He's still in the big blind
Ready
here.
to do it when you are a big boy? Please, this is a family show.
Pass.
Much nicer looking hand, actually.
This is a lot better, yeah.
But
through one.
Frazer doesn't have as many.
He's got more invested though.
I think Frazer can call this as well now.
Think he can just peel off a flop here?
Yeah, I think so.
And what's he got behind, did you say? 45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll flat call it.
What's the right tactical thing to do here?
Flat call it, Roland.
I think a lot depends on how you read the player. I mean,
I wanted to go through
you
this
can make a case for all three. I would like to. Yeah, I think I would flat call and then I'd flat call and bet out any flop that doesn't have an ace in it.
That's right. Yeah.
I have to call.
I know that. So I think I'll just make sure, in case you got a little pair.
There you go.
Cool.
Good luck.
Well, Frazer seems to be in agreement with both of you, and you think he might,
You can
if
watch
he
my
misses
eyes,
this, he
because I
might
might
try and
bet
take it
if I
off
hit the
him.
flop, I promise you
I think
that.
that's the correct. What he's done is the correct way to play it.
Watch me
there's no
closely.
other way. Roland's
If I go like that,
an expert at this.
that means I've hit.
If there's no aces, I'm
and
going.
he knows
all in.
exactly that. Like he says, if an ace, he'll make a move on this flop. He will.
Look at Frazer. He's standing up and fiddling with his chips. Ooh, they both missed.
Wow. There you go. Check, check.
Check, check.
Yep, it's gonna be. Wow.
They couldn't be further away from having
I
it.
suppose you've showed a bit of weakness, haven't you?
Woodley said, "Give me my phone." So it's almost like both these guys are bottling it.
That ace makes a big difference when it's that flop. Just there.
Frazer was ready to give it up, and now he's having second thoughts.
Yeah.
Rudling hasn't followed through. Is Rudling?
Any kind of better, he'll take it down.
You don't look very confident, David. But maybe that's
I'll
just
check.
because we know. Oh,
Wow.
Check.
This is it now.
open the door, Richard.
This is a great bet.
$45 you got.
There's 16 of them.
16,000.
This is really...
It's a good bet here.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's gutsy stuff from Rudling. How do you read that check on the flop that David Rudling made?
I think he has to, but when Ian Frazer checks twice to him, then it does open the door if Ian has a small pair, has a
Ian's
king
got
queen.
a an ace now.
Pass.
There you go. That's a great bet by Rudling.
Well done, son.
He's going to be over the moon with that.
He sure is. Boy, that was hairy for a while, wasn't
Raise
it?
your blind again. You're going to keep doing that.
I'm surprised that Ian never made a move there. He's prepared to call
Not a
it.
big hand, mate. Don't worry about that.
He's obviously scared of the
King queen. If you didn't have an ace, it was a good
That'll
raise.
do Rudling good as well.
Small blind.
Well, I mean, I know it's not over yet, but Rudling will feel like that was the pot that might have put him in the set in the final table.
Sends a message to the other players as well.
And how does Ian Woodley feel now? Having passed the ace.
This is sort of thing dreams are made of.
There was a lot of bluff and bluster on this table.
No, I had a bad ace. Very bad ace.
Oh, so you get two pair then?
It was a big flop for you then, wasn't it? Jesus Christ.
Modha.
I didn't get paid, was I?
What's happening, Raj?
Raise?
Raise.
Don't be so polite.
Raj has got 79,000.
Yeah, they're making. This is what
It's
you know. Is
16,000 total.
expecting this now. They're going to start making. They're going to start shaking it up a bit now.
Pass.
Wow. Hello, Ian Woodley. And this is one that Ian's going to dwell off about. I know he knows he can make this call.
It's 16 right now. And Raj has
a lot of hands, isn't you?
He's bet about
Oh, look
63
at
back.
this.
What does
Wow.
that mean?
Pass.
Wow, he's passed it.
He made a comment too. He said, played a lot of hands, ain't ya?
Pass.
So clearly he's given Raj respect for something big.
Yeah, and there's Raj nodding in saying, please, why didn't you call? Of course, it's easy for us, we know exactly what he had.
They have each won their first heat, but can they handle the pressure at the semi-final? Find out after the break.
Welcome back. Semi-final action here at the partypoker.net World Open 3. Woodley way in front. An indication here, guys, that Woodley is snugging it up a little bit. He's folded 2 aces in a row. Both of them could have made an ambitious case for re-raising, but he's chosen the conservative route.
What did you have, big ice?
Yeah, this is what I expected Ian to do. This is the kind of way that I would.
2 pair?
2 pair, yeah.
Did you?
Sort of locking down and waiting for another player to go out.
That's why
Ian's really good at playing the bubble.
Unlucky.
And I think with that amount of chips now, if he knows another player goes out, he can make. Oh no.
This kind of helps out.
Yeah.
So you might have passed then. Would you have ace 3?
You say the rich get
I'd
richer?
have passed if you'd have pushed. Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you have ace 3?
I can't remember.
Yeah, now I know you're lying. If you had 2 pair, you remember what your last 2 pair was?
I never said that.
We'll let these guys chapper away.
What does he do here now?
Raise.
He's gone pretty quiet, hasn't he, Woodley?
Yeah.
11,000 more. Pass.
Total of 17.
Pass.
Oh, no.
Oh. This could be.
It's actually the biggest hand Raj Modha has seen.
That's
I
right,
think
yeah.
all night.
Yeah, Jesse could be in trouble here. Especially when Woodley just passed the hand before to him.
I mean, does Modha have enough chips to take Woodley off most hands? I guess he does.
I don't think he's going to take him off this hand though.
You just played an hand, you can't play another one.
Yeah, now Ian's going to go all the speed.
Get the cards, I'll have to, won't I?
Ian doesn't want to be doing this at the
There's
minute.
cameras or something in here, he's showing off now.
This could be the Modha moment.
Wow, they're almost all goading him into it.
He is, but Modha has to find out if he thinks that's weak.
There we go, re-raise.
Now, is it all of them?
What do you say?
Re-raise.
That's it, 11.
Okay, give you 1,000
Yeah,
chips.
he's going to get himself pot committed to this. Ian's coming over the
Re-raise
top.
another 20.
And he's all in.
Okay, 20,000 more.
It's kind of a clever bet, isn't it, though? I mean, no?
No, I wouldn't say really. I'd have flat call it there. I mean, we all know what Ian's going to do
So
now.
how long is Ian going to dwell for? 8, 9, 10, 11.
Does Woodley have a play that's not all in?
He's got to go all in there. He knows the guy's pot committed. He's going to call whatever.
You got king, queen?
What difference does that make him?
33 seconds and counting.
It is a pretty big. He's really got Modha in the stew pot here, doesn't he? I'm not convinced Modha is going to call. Or is it just is the math going to tell him?
Modha's raise is up to Ian there too. It's always just flat.
Oh!
Wow.
Going to let him hang himself, isn't he?
I don't know. I'd have pushed all in there. Roland, would you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's committed anyway. The
Yeah.
only thing the flop can do is scare off Modha.
That's right.
Oh, good point.
The move is all in. I think he gets a call if he's gone all in.
Check.
I think Woodley might have played this a little cute. I think he might lose his man.
I think he'll lose him here now.
19,000.
It's going to be a hell of an escape hatch for Modha.
I'm all in.
Oh,
All in.
Wow.
good night.
Go.
Raj doesn't like it.
I think you're in front, Wooders.
Bullets over here.
You can.
There they are. Bullets.
Wow.
So he just walked into it, didn't he?
Flat call.
There's a lot of ways that could have gone down, but was there any? It just seemed a bit destined, did it?
I kind of put it as a bit of a dangerous
Yeah,
range of play.
actually.
They can get cracked them aces still. I
many
mean,
times
I
you
think
had
the
them
move
with
should
that?
have been real, and I think
7.
he still calls it an all in.
In my head, I've
before the
had them
flop.
7
Don't you agree,
times.
Roland?
I think he would call it before the flop. I
Yeah,
think.
oh,
I think the only thing Ian can do there is lose his man because Ian isn't getting
you
away from
switch off?
that situation.
Will you switch off?
We are about to
mind
be
that,
four
darling.
ways, and Woodley is going to be nailed on
A 6.
unless it comes.
That's
Well,
good.
it can't come anything now, is it?
Kind of killed it, isn't it?
We're
Raj
good.
Modha's gonna
We're
be
good with
dead.
that. We're very
lucky,
good
Raj.
with that.
It's good
Well
to
done,
meet
son.
you. See you.
Well played, son.
Good game.
Woodley has gotten so
Well done,
many
Raj.
hands
Well
and
done,
cards and moves that the aces could not be avoided, and the Poker Million
Knocked him out,
champion
Woodley,
out.
they call him.
Could have gone a lot of ways with the money winning on the flop.
He's got paid in the end. It's worked out right for him.
You were pretty quiet compared to your usual gameplay. Was that part of your strategy?
No, I wanted to make a move, but just wasn't getting good enough cards to do anything. I did raise with some not very good hands and try to keep my head above waters, but at some point I had to get some chips to, if I was going to get in the final, I needed some chips. So it's a long time, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, it's bubble time.
Absolutely.
And Roland, I mean, who's the most important player to watch right now? What Woodley does or the short stacks?
It's the short stack.
You're the only bloke I haven't backed.
Well, you're such a fish. You couldn't even
Dave
get that
Johnson
right.
is in a situation where, he's at the bottom of the pile and he really needs to win a hand.
I told you.
He can't wait. Ian Woodley can be bullying. It's the other two players actually who are going to be faced with the decisions of what to do with their marginal hands.
I was just thinking, I hope you ain't getting
three hands left.
The chip leader will try and pick everything up.
King, queen.
The short stack will pick his spot, but the other two are going to be blinded down and going to be having to affect a situation where they're going to have marginal hands.
You want to be
Faced with the race from the chip leader, they really don't want the bubble. Ian Frazer especially doesn't want the bubble to last a long time.
Heroes, do we?
What do you think, Johnny Texas?
Well, I think what's going to be going through Ian Fraser's mind now is he wants to pick more chips up for the final. He's pretty confident he's going to get through now. He wants to be picking more chips up.
16,000 total. Pass.
Ian Woodley, Sam Ian's making moves. Oh, here we go.
Raised, all in.
All in from David Johnson over the top of Woodley. He really hasn't waited, and he's in trouble. And there's no way he has enough to make Woodley
We're on the
fold.
same bus as him.
Oh, this will be interesting now with Rudling sitting with. He's thinking now he's all in. Do it. I get to the final. If Ian calls, I've been in this position last year.
I am, for God's sake.
Does he pass now? Thinking, well, if Johnson goes out, I get through. I get a free ticket into this.
Oh, you fish, get
That's
in there,
automatic
mix
pass,
it up.
isn't it?
How much
gone,
more?
yeah.
It's amazing though because
Might even have to call
if
you.
Johnson hadn't
30,000.
played that hand, Rudling could have gone all in.
Yeah, it's okay. Very interesting point.
Yeah, you just sit there.
A lot
and
of these
leave it
hands
all
now
to me,
become
eh?
very, very
You
interesting
raised,
because
not
the
me.
players are thinking I
Must
can
have
get a
hand,
free
otherwise you
ticket
wouldn't have
here.
raised.
And
Right.
Rudling's desperate for Woodley to win this hand.
We can all go home, can't we then?
That's it.
Have you got aces? 'Cause
It's not
I
that
don't
much
really
more,
want to call
is
if
it?
you
I
have.
mean, can't really fold anything, can you?
Have you? It was only 6. What did you get busy for? You had no chips in there.
He's going to be that one of those where
What have
Rudling
you
could
got,
end
ace
up
king?
kicking himself with them nines.
Something like that.
Oh, you got a pair? That's handy then.
Call.
You got a pair, I got a call.
Well, he has called. I mean, obviously the flop will tell all, Roland, but did Johnson move too soon?
Baby, I mean, how's that worked
Passed a
out?
pair of nines there.
What'd you get busy for? You've got no chips in the pot. You all right?
Giving a rub down to the other player.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. The guy is all in.
I don't want them both though.
And,
I don't want King Jack.
David Johnson, only
If he hits
19
a pair,
years
give him
old, from
queen
Bridge
10.
North, needs to hit a queen or 10.
No, go on, go.
Carry on.
3 little arts
Forget
there.
them. Forget them. Listen to me.
He's showing a lot of composure here.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
good.
begrudge him a couple
I
cards.
can live with that. A 4 and a 3.
It'll be all over. Unless the queen or 10 hits.
All right, then a 3 and a 4. Go on. You do it your way. Yeah, that's good.
One
What do we want
card
now?
to come.
An ace.
There's that 9. And David Johnson's out in 4th. We've got our final table. Half of it anyway.
Well played.
And there the 9 came on the river. I said exactly, didn't I?
Pair of nines I folded there.
David, it was your first TV tournament. Do you think that influenced the way you play at all?
A little bit, because when I first started I was a little bit nervous. Obviously coming to the semi-final I calmed down and I seemed alright.
And just got on with it.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. So, influenced it a little bit, but not too much.
So, final leaderboard. These are the chip stacks the players are taking to that final table. Woodley going to be 393,000. Likely to be the chip leader. Ian Frazer with 133 and Rudling with 74.
You hear the rumblings of a tournament favorite. Ian Woodley has done it again. Congratulations,
Cheers.
Ian.
Thanks, Jesse. Cheers.
It looks like you're going to be chip leader at this final table.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, yeah.
Let's talk about this heat. For me, the hand, perhaps of the whole tournament, was the King 10 you played against Ian Frazer. It seemed like that set the tone for this whole semi-final.
Yeah, well, I knew he was a danger at the table and like a strong player. So if I pass there, I figure he's going to keep re-raising. So, and because I've done it a few times, I'm waiting for him to do that. You know, play back at me. So I just made my mind up. If he plays back, I'm going to give it to him.
Draw the line early.
Yeah.
And then that was it. And then from there, was it just try and get as big a stack as possible?
Yeah. Just just playing position really. You know what I mean? Got a couple of nice hands and just run smooth really. I think I got re-raised once when I had ace jack and to Ian like he had ace quit and I put it down. So apart from that, it all went smooth.
It really seems like you're in good form coming in this tournament. You just seem so comfortable at the table.
Yeah, I'm all, it don't faze me on nothing cameras or anything. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I like it. So it don't put me off or nothing.
Now, as far as the final table goes, is anything acceptable for you at this point except for first?
No, I mean there's such a long way to go. When the blinds, especially in this format, when the blinds get big, I mean I'm just happy to be in the final and take it from there.
Well, we know 3 of the people at this final table. It's Ian Woodley, Ian Frazer, and David Rudling. Who will be joining them? Next time, 6 more semifinalists sit down. You know them. It's a bookie, a rookie, and the crazy horse. See you on the partypoker.net World Open 3.